Hi there. So today we're going to be talking about two new learning theories. So the first one's going to be the information processing theory, and the second one is going to be the theory of multiple intelligences. So what is the information processing theory? So basically, the information processing theory is the idea that information is stored in your brain and received later on. So basically, you have a stimuli that is an auditory usually or a visual stimuli, and then your brain registers that you need to respond to that. So that goes into your short-term memory, which is about a 5 to 7 minute time frame that goes in your brain for you to have a response. So what we're doing right now is actually a good example of a short-term memory. So you learning about this theory right now is going into your short-term memory. If you understand this theory and you're able to retrieve it later, that will be in your long-term memory storage. So we can compare this to a computer. So the way that a computer downloads something, that's like us retrieving new information, and then you're able to save this to your computer, so that would be like your short-term memory, and then you're able to pull up that document that you saved previously, and that would be like your long-term memory. So everything that has happened in your past is stored in your long-term memory. So there are 4 assumptions based on this information processing theory, and the first one is that information is available by the environment and is processed. Then these things are processed in a systematic way. Then research specifies the process and structures that underlie cognitive learning. And then, of course, like we've already talked about, that information processing is like the way information is processed in a computer. So another thing that is important in this information processing theory is the idea of selective attention. So we have all these stimuli coming in at us at all times, and we are able to focus on the exact thing we are trying to learn about. So an example of this would be you're able to listen to music while studying. You're able to study the words on a page when you have music going through your head. Another example would be reading while you're at the beach. You're able to read the words on the page when there are lots of things happening elsewhere on the beach. Lastly, I have written that having a conversation in a coffee shop is also a really good example of selective attention, because you're able to focus on the person you're having a conversation with while people are making coffee or people are having other conversations. You're able to focus on the information that you're attending to. So what is the theory of multiple intelligences? So this is the idea that things can be taught in multiple different ways. So there are 8 different ways. There's linguistic, there's logical, there's spatial, musical, kinesthetic learning, interpersonal learning, intrapersonal learning, and of course the naturalist. So there, I have a really good diagram here that kind of explains the different ways in a quick little description. And then I have a quote here by Howard Gardner saying the biggest mistake of past centuries in teaching has been to treat all students as if they're a variance of the same individual, thus feeling justified in teaching them all the same subjects in the same way. So we know this, that students learn in different ways, and something that might be helpful for one student might actually not be helpful for another student. And so as teachers, it's important to understand our learners and give them activities that allow them to learn in the best way possible. So my last slide of this article is actually different ways to teach. These are good examples for each specific type of learner that is in your classroom. So I go through each different intelligences, so 8 of them, and give examples of how to incorporate different ways of learning for each different learner. So an example might be that a musical learner might want to come up with a song for a new concept, or a kinesthetic learner might need to go outside and run around and do a game outside pertaining to the new concept. So I hope you learned a lot today about the theory of multiple intelligences and the information processing theory. Bye.